McKittrick Farmers Mercantile. Local foods, weekend restaurant and market. Banquet and luncheon hall. Entertainment venue and local education classes. www.themerc.com.
Good morning and welcome once again to another episode of Joey's Experimental Kitchen. One of the questions I get asked most often is, how do you use fresh herbs? So today we're going to focus on herbs. Now you can buy this time of year so many beautiful and delicious fresh looking herb plants at any grocery store or nursery that you go into. Some of the perennial herbs, or ones that will come back each year, might include different kinds of mint, oregano, sage, rosemary. Sometimes comes back, sometimes you have to take it in. Also, there are lots of really nice annual herbs that you can find this time of year, like basil, purple basil, parsley, and stevia, which is my favorite. That's a new herb that's being used as a sugar substitute, believe it or not. It's really excellent for people that have diabetes or don't like to eat regular sugar because it's extremely sweet and potent. So today we're going to learn what to do with those fresh herbs once you've brought them home and planted them in your garden. Herbs are very hardy and happy plants, so if you plant some of the perennial varieties, which I have just mentioned, you'll have a nice patch of them year after year, probably more than you'll be even able to use. So a good thing to do is to try to preserve some for later use. And a couple different ways that you can do that is you can dry them. To do that, I always use a rubber band. I take my fresh herbs. Here we're going to try some mint. Everybody loves mint, and mint is supposed to keep ants away. So a lot of times at old farmsteads you'd see it planted around their kitchen, and this was supposed to deter the ants. So the best and easiest way to dry your herbs is to just cut them, rinse them, let them dry a little bit, and then just wrap the ends up with a rubber band. The rubber band will tighten as your herbs dry, so you won't have to worry about them falling apart. And then you just hang them up in any dry, warm, dark closet. I usually use the closet where we keep our hot water heater, but you can also use an attic or any other dry and dark, warm area. Herbs, depending on how dry they are and what time of year you've harvested them, usually will take about 2 or 3 weeks to dry. After they're dried, I usually just take them off of the stems, and you can use the stems as like shish kebab skewers, or throwing in your smoker, or even in herb teas. So strip the stems off because they're kind of woody, and then I always just store them like in a Ziploc bag, labeled and dated, and in a dry and dark place. You want to always keep herbs in the dark because they're going to fade and lose their flavor and potency over time. So dried herbs can be used as you would any other kind of dried herb. And a lot of different types of herbs can be done this way. The oregano, mint, rosemary, thyme. Experiment and try different ones. So another way to preserve your fresh herbs is to make an herb vinegar. Here I have some red raspberry and basil vinegar. So to do that, I started with some red basil, which I had gathered in the fall. We're going to today make a minty herb vinegar. All you have to do is start with like a wide mouth jar. And I'm going to make a minted herb vinegar. What would you use minted herb vinegar for? Maybe a fruit salad, or in Turkey they use mint in everything. Like you can throw a splash of this mint vinegar in a pot of tomato soup at the end, or you can use it to make like a tabbouleh salad, which is a salad made with mint, parsley, and leftover cooked grains. You might try a mint vinegar with some peas and lamb, or just be creative with it. Mint is a delightful cooking herb, which not a lot of people use in the kitchen. But you can do this herb vinegar with any type of herbs and different combinations. Some other nice combinations are oregano with a little bit of garlic and some cayenne pepper, or you can try basil, as I've done here. Basil vinegar is very nice. Chive vinegar. Try different kinds and use different combinations of vinegars and herbs. There's so many nice commercial vinegars available, like rice wine vinegar, red wine vinegar, ordinary white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and each of them has their own delicious flavors. So, to make your herb vinegar, all you have to do is pack your jar with the herbs, and then you'll want to heat the vinegar up to nearly boiling point. I'm just going to use the white vinegar here so you can see, and you can heat it up in the microwave or on a pan. Or if you don't want to eat it, or you're on a raw foods diet, you can also just fill the herb jar with cold vinegar and sit it out in the sun, like you'd make a sun tea. So you just pour the vinegar over the herbs. Now you'll want to have enough vinegar in there to actually fill up the whole jar. So you see I don't have quite enough there, so I'm just going to fill it up a little more. There you go. And then if you want, you can take a spoon and push them down in there until all of the herbs are over in vinegar. Now this herb vinegar will store for a very long time. It might start to lose a little color after a while, but I would say it'll stay good for at least a year, and by that time you'll have another batch of fresh herbs in your garden. So there you have it, herb vinegar. One of the easiest recipes you can make. Now, another thing that you can do with fresh herbs, and this is the way a lot of people enjoy eating them, is to make herb butter. Herb butters are used as a garnish on a steak. Sometimes you'll order a steak and it'll have a little round herb butter on it, or you could use it on toasted bread. Like instead of ordinary garlic bread, you could have fresh bread with herb butter. It's also nice tossed into pastas or even on cooked baked potato or in your mashed potatoes. So to make an herb butter, you'll start with a stick of butter or more if you need to make more, soften to room temperature. And then you want to just take your fresh herbs, or you can use even dried herbs. Proportion is start with about 2 tablespoons of dried herbs or maybe 4 tablespoons of fresh herbs, but that's just a guideline. You can use as many or as little as you think your family would enjoy. So here I have some garlic chives. Garlic chives are a somewhat invasive plant, but they're very nice. They've got a garlicky and onion flavor. So we're going to make garlic chive butter. I've already washed them, and now I'm just going to finely mince them. Ooh, cut my finger the other day, mincing too fast, so be careful. And here I've got about 4 tablespoons of finely minced garlic chives. Another good way to mince fresh herbs is to just use an ordinary kitchen shears. And the way you do that is you just hold them in a bundle and snip, snip, snip. This is a good way to just add some herbs to a little bowl of soup or salad or any type of thing you might want to garnish with herbs at the end. So you put your herbs in there, take your spoon and mash it together. And that's it. And again, try different types of herbs in combination, and this will stay good in your refrigerator for probably up to about a month. The fat in the butter will keep the herbs from drying out, and your butter will just pick up more and more flavor. Now, if you want this to look a little fancier, you can serve it either in a little bowl like this, or you can actually roll it up into a roll with some parchment paper or saran wrap, place it in the freezer, and then you can slice it into individual portions. But I usually just serve mine in a little bowl. So that's the herb butter. Recipe number 2. Now, another easy and fun thing to do with fresh herbs is to make an herb mayonnaise. On another episode of The Experimental Kitchen, I taught you how to make homemade mayonnaise. So we have a little bit of that in our refrigerator right here. Or you can use commercial mayonnaise. Now, basically it's made the same way as the herb butter. You just take your mayonnaise and snip your fresh herbs into it, and that's about it. So these are just a few very easy ways that you can introduce your family to the delicious variety of flavors from fresh garden-grown herbs. Thanks once again for coming to another episode of Joey's Experimental Kitchen.